Team Corrali has become a major player in extreme RC bashing over the last few years. The Kagama, Spark, and Asuga are some of the best off-road options in radio control. An argument could even be made that the Synchro 4 was the best RC release of 2024, packing a feature to price ratio not seen previously by the competition. But as the year came to a close, Corrali ended it very questionably with the release of the Kagama 4, followed soon after by its twin brother, the Punisher 4. While both were based off the home run Synchro buggy, with minor suspension changes, truck body, and tires, the slightly different recipe has stirred numerous issues for the truck from factory. So for a few bucks and a little elbow grease, we're gonna see how much potential we can unlock for these trucks. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Devin with Naughty Boy RC, and in today's video we're doing a couple pretty much essential upgrades to the Team Corrali Punisher 4. Yeah, this guy right here. Now the upgrades we're going to be doing today are also going to work on the Kagama 4, and I would highly recommend them if you do end up picking up either truck. Speaking of picking up either truck, if you're interested in the Kagama or Punisher 4, links will be down in the description below. Now we chose to do these upgrades to the Punisher over the Kagama just because the Punisher seems to be a little bit more well received. People seem to enjoy the body style just a wee bit more, so thought we'd bring it back for a second video. If you want to see a video of this guy, there'll be a link up top here where we do like a full in-depth look and review the car, bash it around a little bit. And stick around, once we get these upgrades on, we'll definitely be bashing it again in this video and seeing what the difference is. Now the first upgrade we're going to be doing to this truck is just this little piece of shrink tubing. This is literally it. It's almost free. Pretty much everyone has some spare shrink tubing laying around their house, especially if they're into RCs or anything automotive. You don't need much, and we're actually going to be cutting this up into little tiny sections to put on the drive shafts. Now, if you're new to these trucks or to RC, you might be thinking, why the hell are you putting a piece of shrink tube on the drive shaft? Because these trucks have a super common weak point in the drive shafts, and because of that weak point, we're actually replacing an entire drive shaft because ours got launched into outer space and we couldn't find it. And this weakness is actually the clip that holds the drive shaft into the axle. When you rev this truck up under acceleration, that force expands that pin. It puts a lot of pressure on that clip, and the clips aren't very strong, and what happens is they end up opening up, causing the pin to fly out, and then you end up losing your drive shaft. At the time of its release, everyone was really hoping that issue would have been cleared up because everyone experienced it on the Kagama 4. But unfortunately, Team Corrali didn't change anything into production, and they sent these trucks out with that faulty clip. Speaking of power, these trucks do lack a little bit out of the box. Thankfully, the motor mount does come with 15 tooth and 17 tooth options. At the time of this video, I could not find a 17 tooth Corrali pinion in stock anywhere, so we went with the Power Hobby. It actually has double grub screws. I hope everything lines up and meshes okay. Word to the wise though, if you're gonna try the 17 tooth in the summer when it's warm out, definitely gonna wanna add a fan. In our case, it's New York, it's winter time, it's cold as hell, so we should have zero problem running the 17 tooth on there. Alright guys, and first things first, we're gonna go ahead and get that hex off of the wheel side that we need to replace the entire axle on. For that, I'm just gonna use a pair of pliers. You know, you might want to use something else, but in our case, this will be fine. Take your driver, you can poke that little pin out. Got to get a parts tray before I start losing everything here. Pull right out. Now, unfortunately, I did goof up and get the wrong axle. As you can see, I got the short snubbed version compared to the long one.
That's what. If you say that's what she said one more time, I'm gonna pop you.
Now, thankfully, the actual drive shaft itself is the same length. We're just gonna pop out that pin there, and then we can put the longer version on there. But interestingly enough, this actually has the like wire clip version that we all wish the Kagama and Punisher came with from the factory. Instead, we got these much weaker kind of pull apart clips versus those nice like key ring safety ones. Get that ring off, then you'll be able to pop your little drive shaft pin up out of there. I would definitely recommend adding these style clips, and you could always add the heat shrink for an extra measure, but if you don't have access to this part, just add heat shrink is the way to go. Alright, and all we're going to be doing at this point, now that we got our clip back on there, is just cutting out a small piece of heat shrink. You just want it to cover the clip and nothing else, so nothing too big, maybe like right there, and we might have to go get a bigger piece of heat shrink. So after taking the pinion cover off and loosening the pinion screw, I was unfortunately not able to get a wrench up inside that top motor mount screw. This meant taking out the entire diff and removing the screws on the bottom, which are in there super freaking good. The two rear bolts on that center diff mount, I ended up having to heat up with the heat gun on high for 3 to 4 minutes each in order to break them loose with the wrench. Otherwise, I was risking stripping them out with the hex driver, a socket hex set, as well as a standard hex wrench. It just was not budging, so had to put the heat to it. But after a while, we finally got them loose and we got that center diff out. Alright guys, a couple days passed and a lot of frustration later, we were able to get that pinion gear off the motor with a lot more work than I thought we'd have to do. Also had to run to the store. We finally got some 3/4 inch shrink wrap, so should be able to fit around them axles no problem. We'll get this pinion gear on, get the whole center section of the truck put back together, do the axles up real quick, and then we'll go have some fun bashing. So the good news is, despite all our struggles getting this gear on, the mesh itself seems pretty good, so I don't think we're gonna have any issues. But we'll have to wait and see how it sounds once we get out there and start bashing. Alright guys, we made it back out to the bash spot, got the truck all wrapped up. Let's check it out real quick. You can see I do got the heat shrink on both sides. Now you don't have to do it on the rear. I totally forgot about that earlier in the video. That just uses CVD dog bones. It doesn't actually have where it connects into the axle with a pin. So no worries in the back. And again, if you can get those upgraded springs from Corrali, I would highly recommend that over just the heat shrink, but we're gonna try it. We got just heat shrink on this side, and on this side we got the heat shrink and the actual spring retainer. We also got it swapped out for that 17 tooth pinion instead of that 13, so hopefully we'll make a wheelie machine out of this now and maybe be able to do some bag flips. Time will tell, but the mesh does sound good for now. It does have the double grub screws, so I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
You sure about that?
But we're doing this for science, so even if it sounds nasty and shreds of gear, oh well, we're still gonna send it.
Oh, baby, it's got power!
Holy crap. We got some nice freaking wheel spin on here now. Wow. Oh my God. Finally got enough power to actually picked itself up and flipped. This is so freaking awesome. Now we can actually break some stuff. I can't even get any traction. The road's so dusty from all the cinders, it's just freaking spinning out. Oh. Now, what's impressive about that, with that 13 tooth pinion we had on there before, it would definitely just nosedive, right? You're not able to get enough throttle. But that 17 tooth actually lets you get up under it a little bit, which is pretty exciting. So, we got a nice little jump set up out here now. Let's try to hit it. All right, guys, keep in mind with the 17 tooth pinion, if you're running somewhere warm, this truck's probably going to get pretty hot and you're going to need a fan. It is like 30 degrees with a super bad wind chill today, so the electronics aren't even close to getting warm. But if you're running somewhere that is, you know, probably 70 degrees or above, you're definitely going to want to have a fan on there. Kickflip. Gotta take the neighbor dogs for a walk here real quick. Get their exercise in for the day. I'm sure neighbor will appreciate wearing a mouse so they behave a little more when they go inside tonight. Thought we broke that rear wing mount again like we did on the Kagama, but looks like the body was just stuck on there. Oh, so close. Landed right on that rear wing mount. Mesh is definitely getting worse the more we bash it. So if you can find the 17 tooth Team Corrali, definitely go with that over this this Power Hobby one, you know, just so you can properly mesh it, because it does have that fixed motor plate. So you can't always upgrade the motor plate. There's another Team Corrali one that'll fit. I'll throw up the part number up here. If you get that adjustable motor plate, you're able to run a lot more different size pinion gears and different manufacturers, just because you can get that mesh to work up a little bit better on those Mod 1 pinions. Oh, almost. Okay guys, we're back out here. It is the next day. It started to get a little dark on us yesterday, and I just want to run another pack on here and make sure these mods are going to hold up. And as you can see, we've been washing it without drying it off. This is what happens. You get rust. But good news is the little bit of heat shrink on each side is holding up really good. The mesh is a little clicky. Really windy today, so we got to watch for cars flying by. Thankfully, it's the weekend, so hopefully not too much travel. This thing is just so fast. Nothing else. We got a sweet jump. Oh, bummer. So, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but that's our pinion gear. I should have known. That really sucks. So, definitely, if you're putting a 15 or 17 tooth on here with the stock motor plate, make sure you get the Corrali pinion gear. Alright guys, so if you're interested in the Punisher for any other Team Corrali models, links will be down in the description below to our website. Don't forget to check out the coupons tabs. You can save quite a bit of money off these guys and get a nice little deal. We also have a whole bunch of other goodies you can find on our website, www.naughty.com. And remember, keep it naughty.
I think the girls with their nails done now.